And it is Sunday evening, right around 6 o'clock, and I am live streaming, working in OpenTunes. There's probably some things I could say about what I've been doing work-wise, but frankly, since I posted 3 OpenTunes quick tips today, I probably don't need to recap too much about this workflow on this live stream. So watch those quick tips if you're interested in learning some useful tricks in OpenTunes. It would be nice if the preview was a little faster, but see, anyway, here's what I've been doing. I've been taking each of my shots that are in the scene and going ahead and putting them in sub-X sheets. So basically organizing my work. And that in effects mode, that there are quite a few effects involved. There's basically some blurs and glows and this sort of thing. So when you watch this in preview mode, this is what you get. You get a nice background. The bokeh, actually, the defocusing, I actually brought the image into Sony Vegas and added the defocus effect and then just re-exported the image because it took like 1 minute to do, and the defocusing effect in Vegas is much better than frankly you find in most software. It's real good. So control up and out. So there's that. So that, I feel pretty good about that. I feel the moonbeams sort of flowing in. So then the second shot right here, same kind of idea. There's still a little work to be done. I think I need to go in and put a shadow in there. But basically not too bad. I made some adjustments to the plastic tool that are hard to see unless I go into the sub-X sheet and hide these beams. This is just a vector level. I just actually literally drew some lines with the in a vector tool or in a vector level, and then I used the pump tool to like make the stroke on these lines fatter, and then added the glow effect in post. And why I'm seeing the, okay, there it is. Yeah, so again, you see these moonbeams flowing in. I don't know if it's like the world's most definitive moonbeam effect, but it looks pretty good. I mean, I feel like we're inching, actually, yeah, we're inching closer to a professional result. But what I think what's actually super interesting is I love the way, because this whole scene is literally nothing but one frame. Okay, there's only this one drawing, and then all the hard work's being done by the plastic tool. So then when I animate it, what I did was I went into the plastic tool. I should probably turn this on and hit the X key so I'm actually, with the plastic tool and in animate mode, you can see what I did, but it's just really subtle, you know, this effect of her breathing. So for both this shot and the next shot, I definitely modified the manipulations that were being done by the plastic tool because it really didn't look quite right. So that's interesting. I have to hit the preview twice in order for it to forget. It's clearly keeping the previous preview in the buffer. So anyway, control up arrow is the hotkey that I have assigned to the way I think of it is if I want to create a sub-X sheet, I grab the levels. Like if I want to take these 3 levels and turn them into a sub-X sheet, then what I did was I took the configure shortcuts and took the command to collapse and map that to control shift down, and then control up and control down gets me down into the sub-X sheet and up out of the sub-X sheet. So now what's probably most interesting at this point would be what I'm doing in this level. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get into that sub-X sheet, and it clearly needs a lot of color correction. You can see for Akari sleeping, I just took the previous this shot and copied it over into another level, and then did some I think I used the A key to just manipulate the imagery. And so clearly there's a bunch of color correction that needs to happen. If you look at the preview, you can see that nothing's really been done. So what happens in this shot is, I showed in another video how you can lock your levels together in the schematic view. So let's go down into the SubX sheet. And so that way all these three levels inherit the motion of this level that I just turned off and back on, so that the it's kind of brain dead to create the animation of all the levels working together in tandem. And then once it gets to where it's going to be, then the ninjas climb up into frame. So anyway, what I wanted to do is, and what I'm going to talk about now is, I wanted to find a simple way to create a shadow, you know, because there are going to be these moonbeams shining in and putting some illumination on our ninja guy. Well, if we look at the preview, you can see, I don't know if this is like the definitive shadow ever, but not horrible. I guess I'm kind of feeling like it's probably not blurred quite enough. But now I need to create the same shadow for my other ninja guy. How do you do it? Well, let's find out how you do it. The way you do it, and there are some tricks to it in this case, because by the way, let me just check here the ponytail. I want to turn this off so I can see my ponytail animation. Yeah, so we have just a loop. That's what this column is, or this level is, just a loop of his ponytail. Okay, so this is the level in question. Once this guy gets to where he is, then this other guy enters the scene. And I don't need you to tell me that his hair color is kind of stupid. That's okay. All I got to do is change the color in the palette. So that's pretty brain dead. But the key thing I want to do here is I want to select these cells, and then under the I don't know if I can right mouse click. Let me see what happens if I right mouse click. Right mouse click. Do I see clone in here anywhere? No, I don't. So I didn't think so. So what I got to do is go to the cells menu, and right at the bottom is clone. And I'm gonna call this Ninja 2 clone. Actually, why am I gonna call it clone? This is actually Ninja 2 shadow is really what it's gonna be. Okay, so now what I can do, unfortunately the bad news is I need to jump down here and then use the A. Actually, let's get out of the effects view and get into the regular stage schematic, because this is kind of important. Okay, so what's actually going on here is the level that represents the first ninja, which I believe would be this, is actually also controlling the second ninja. So, and the reason for that is that, let me just try to see if I can make my screen real estate make sense here. Yeah, probably if I just put this there would work okay. Okay, and this actually suggests an interesting change from what I did before. Okay, because what I did was, let me make sure I've got the right guy. Okay, so the ninja on top is the main guy, and the ninja, or the clone, here is underneath it, like so. So if I hide that, you can see that the shadow disappears. Okay, so the mistake that I made actually was putting this keyframe in. I did a keyframe, yeah, it's let me explain it this way. What I did was originally these guys were too big. Okay, so what I did was I used the A key, which is the animate tool, and I just did a scaling change, basically. I mean, I might have moved them a little bit, but basically I scaled them down. They made them a little smaller for various reasons. Okay, and when I made this guy smaller, since the two ninjas are on different levels, I had to link them so that when I resized Ninja 1, it would also resize Ninja 2, so they stayed sort of mapped together. So as I just showed here, Ninja 1, and I'm going to rename this because the reason I'm kind of going so choppy is because I didn't really name these columns, and so it's hard to find them in the X sheet or the schematic. So as you can see, both the ponytail loop animation and column 7, and I don't even have to look at column 7, I need to make the Ninja 2 shadow, and so we'll call this N1 shadow, and we'll call this Ninja 2, that's Ninja 2, and by the way, again, I think I'm wrong here. I really think, yes, this level, we'll call this N2 shadow. Okay, so really this level should be moved over 1 because it's got to be underneath, obviously. But the problem, as you can see, is that Ninja 2's shadow needs to be scaled just the same as Ninja 1. So let's just find, that's Ninja 1 shadow. And so I'm going to make a couple changes here. The first thing I'm going to do is link this to this. Okay. And then I need to go here and give it a little bit different of an offset. Actually, I could delete the keyframe, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one. So I'm just going to hit the delete key, so that's fine. So then I come here, and I'm just going to offset that a little bit this way. Okay. Why is it? Oh, sorry, my bad. My bad. I'm in scale mode instead of position. So let's go to position, and then just offset that a little bit. Okay, so now the only thing I need to do is I just need to drag this keyframe up here so that the offset begins at the beginning of the animation. The reason I didn't do it here is because you can't see where the heck the guy is because he hasn't crawled into frame yet. So that's cool. So now let's do the same thing here. We've got Ninja 1, and this is his shadow, or I'm sorry, Ninja 2. This is his shadow. So let's take Ninja 2's shadow right here, and we want to make Ninja 2's shadow also a child in the schematic of Ninja 1. And that means that he inherits Ninja 1's scaling, but now we do need to do the exact same thing, which is give him a little bit of an offset, okay, in the shadow, so that when we turn on the preview, we can see that they both have a shadow and those shadows are offset. The problem is that Ninja 2, his shadow is not being blurred and blackened. How was that accomplished? Well, let me zoom in here, and it's definitely hard to, I gotta get over here. So there's Ninja 1, the clone, Ninja 1 shadow, and it's going through, I added a adjust levels plugin, and I just took the levels down to 0, the RGB output down to 0. That makes it black, right? And then I also took the alpha and brought it down, and actually I'm going to say 158. That looks pretty good. Okay. And then the second thing I did was blur it a little bit. So I just blurred it 4 millimeters, and wango bango, you get a nice shadow going on. I don't want it to be actually too dramatic, but that's a good looking shadow, I think. Okay, so now what I got to do is let's make this window bigger so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and so as you can see, Ninja 1's shadow gets turned to black, gets blurred, and then it feeds into the X sheet. So we got to do the same thing with Ninja 2's shadow. So here's Ninja 2's shadow. We can't really do that, unfortunately. It'd be nice if we could, but I'd have to it could be that there's some kind of like combiner node or something. I don't know. But what I'm actually going to do is just go Control C, Control V, and map Ninja 2 shadow into there, and then into the X sheet. Turn it off, and now as you can see, Ninja 2 also has a nice offset and a shadow. Okay, so that's working pretty well. Obviously, there's a fair amount of work that needs to be done still to the bricks, you know, to the rock. I actually need to completely paint over this whole image and whatnot. So going back up to the top here of this, if we turn the preview off, so we got Akari in the room. Camera pans down, which we simulated by just translating the whole actually this entire level that has only Akari in it, nothing but her. As you can see, it's that one that I just disappeared. All I did was just animated. I used the animate tool to just translate it up, and then just like I showed you a minute ago, I use the schematic view to connect these other two levels to it so that they go up too. And then our ninja guys come into frame. So what problems remain? Well, first of all, this keyframe should be dragged up to the top here so that the offset starts when he enters the scene. Number one. Number two, going in here and looking at his hair, I'm going to say if I grab the fill tool, doesn't much matter since Ninja 2 gets, I mean, I don't have to actually make them match really, because Ninja 2 is all shadow anyway when it's rendered, as you can see here. It's definitely not perfect. I'm actually go in here and double check my settings here. It seems to me this is actually a little strange. If Ninja 1 is clamped to black, then why am I seeing any variation in tone here? So in other words, if I turn it up like this, it's lighter. Turn it down like this. So there's definitely a couple things that need to be looked at here in terms of how OpenTunes is behaving. Because I'm not really seeing the, I mean the blur is fine, 4mm should be fine, so there's something odd going on here. Let's just see what happens if we make another adjustment. That doesn't seem to have any effect. I hope it's not inserting keyframes. In other words, if I'm not at the beginning, that I hope it's not going to like stick some keyframes in there for the effect. That would be problematic. But I will tell you that this doesn't look right to me at all. So we're still learning as we go on some of the things on OpenTunes. Most of it's been all good news. I mean, you can see this guy, that level should disappear here in half a second. Interesting. Oh, I see. You have to turn it off here. Yeah. See, that gets rid of the shadow. So, I mean, Ninja 2 shadow looks pretty good. Why is Ninja 1 shadow? I don't know why Ninja 2, he's not actually getting clamped to black. So, I think probably the best solution for that is going to be to delete the effect and reinsert it, I think. And by the way, it looks like my live stream seems a little flaky on the YouTube side today. So when I refresh the window, it's not really coming up properly. But that's okay. So what I'm going to do is open the schematic. I mean, so what this is all about is, you know, how do you solve problems? You know, how do you get the job done. And so I'm going to do an insert effect, image adjust, and I'm going to use the same one again just to see if maybe that was a fluke. And now I'm going to push the levels down to black, and now that's closer. I have to say though, it's not perfect. That's very weird. I mean, 0 is 0, so there shouldn't be any color bleeding through here at all for that level. If I kill this, all I should see is the shadow. So the weird behavior. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this connection and kill this connection. Okay. So in other words, let's get rid of the blur. And now if we go to okay, this is interesting. Okay, so what's going on here is that the alpha is, when you take the alpha off on the adjust levels effect, it's almost like it is actually reducing the alpha of the effect as if it were overlaid over the original art. So that's kind of strange behavior. But I can live with it. That's okay. I mean, fine. Let's do it this way then. We'll go to blur, and it's still not perfect. I mean, this is definitely a bit strange. What if we change the alpha input? You know, hardly any change at all. So what happens if we bring this down? Pretty much nothing. Okay. So for the moment, I'm going to live with this, just because I don't want to fiddle with it like all day long. So I'm not satisfied with that. That's going to require some more work to get the shadow on Ninja 2 correct. But at least we kind of sort of have a methodology for dealing with adding shadows. You know, just clone the column, clone the level, and then clamp it down to black, add some alpha, and you're pretty well good to go. So, alright, so with that, what's next for this level? Well, let's go up to the top. Okay, so what we really need to do is this image. I really want this to be the one that has the bokeh baked in, actually. So this is kind of the wrong image here. Let's just be bold. Let's kill that. In fact, let's just kill the whole level. I've gotten good enough with this stuff in terms of kind of sort of knowing what I want to do that I don't worry about, like, you know how it is. You sort of think, oh geez, if I change this, I'll never get it back to the way it was, kind of thing. I'm not quite as worried about that maybe as I used to be. So I'm going to move that over. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is, I've got my X sheet here as well, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bokeh version of that graphic and stick it in there. So let's take, let's go to L, Anime, and I believe it was in Image Ref, Backgrounds, Buddhist Shrine Defocused. So let's take the Buddhist Shrine Defocused and grab it and stick it right there, and I'm just going to do a load. Okay. And so now let's turn preview off. Did I stick that in the wrong place? Let's kill that for a minute. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, I am an idiot. Sorry, guys. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I just blew up OpenTunes. Yeah, and that's fine because I deleted the wrong level. I deleted the level with the stone wall instead of the Buddha shrine. So, well, I had a dumb attack, but cancel, and let's load this guy back up. No problema. And let's see what we're doing as far as watchers. Looks like we got 3 watching, so I'll give you guys the quick recap. If you didn't watch the short OpenTunes tips I posted today, I'll just show you this. Okay, so you've got, I've taken the shots of the scene and broken them into sub X sheets, and then once I layer them up and add the effects, this is what it looks like when it's rendered. Okay, so we've got 2 sub X sheets. Thusly, I did some careful modifications to the plastic tool as well, so that when she breathes, it just looks more natural. And then what I was just working on when I blew things up was this shot. So I'm going to hit, I've got it set to control down arrow. So when I hit control down arrow, it goes down into, quote unquote, the sub X sheet. And the problem that I have right now is I want to replace the Buddha shrine with another version of it that has the defocusing bokeh baked in. Okay, so let's turn the stone wall back on. So there's that. So this is actually the offending level. Alright, so let's fix that. And the way we're going to fix it is to save all, as we like to often do. Let's go to the large view of the X sheet. It's just a little easier. Okay, and then let's find the Buddha shrine image that has the defocus already baked in. It appears that, like a bonehead, I actually close that window. So let's go to backgrounds, and here it is, Buddha shrine defocus. So I can just stick it in anywhere. And I'm going to hit load because everything always loads from the same drive. Like even on the network drives, it's the networks see it as the same drive, so I can just do a load as opposed to an import into the OpenTunes project. So now I gotta extend this background image all the way down to the bottom of the shot. And the problem we're gonna have, and let's go ahead and just kill the old Buddha shrine. So the problem we're gonna have is that the Buddha shrine needs to inherit the animation of the Akari layer. So this is the Akari layer that is right there. It's been animated. As you can see, these little keyframes, that's the animation simulating a camera move. So it pans down, and then my ninja guys climb up into the scene. And for what it's worth, for those who are tuning in late, if you click preview, you can see that we used effects in the schematic view to go ahead and insert. What I did was clone the layers and then blurred them and then made them a little transparent so it looks like a shadow. So anyway, coming back to the Buddha shrine, let's go up here. What we've got to do is we've got to lock the Buddha shrine that's in the background to the animation of the Akari layer. So as you can see, it's defocused, not because of any effects that have been added, but rather because the defocus is actually baked into the image. I just figured that was easier. So I'm gonna hit the A key, and before I go too much further for this shot, I'm gonna go ahead and scale it, position it, and I don't really have a big strong preference at the moment for how that's positioned in there, but I guess it needs to be big enough. Remember, it's going to be really dark, so to an extent we can kind of get away with murder here, but honestly the positioning needs to be something like that. And then what I need to do, let me jump up out of the sub X sheet. What I need to do is put a background in it, like we have in this, I guess, well, I'm sorry, like we have in this one. Okay, sort of painted in a soft edge to the bottom of that image, by the way. So that's cool. So we're in good shape. Let's take this, drag it down to the bottom of the X sheet of the shot, so everything moves together. And then now what we need to do is make sure that the defocused Buddhist temple inherits the animation of the main character's layer. How do we do that? Well, let's pull up the schematic view. There's a really easy way to do it. Go to the schematic view, and we don't want to be in effects mode. We want to be in, the stage schematic. And as you can see, we've already got some wide shot, I believe, is the Akari layer. Let me make sure. Yes. Is that correct? Let me turn this off. Yes. So that's right. So this is the Akari layer. And what we need to do is take this. Let's just change the name of this so it makes more sense. Defocused BKGD, which is sort of my always my abbreviation for background. So then there's the defocus background, and let's just connect these. So now the defocus background, when the camera pans up, yep, see, it follows it right along. Now there's some color correction. We need to do some color correction obviously on this stuff. So if we want to do that right now, we'd want to get into preview mode, and let's just give it a crack. So first thing we need to do is switch to effects mode. We don't want to be in the stage schematic. Okay, and let's see if we can get this to organize a little bit. Okay, that's cool. Alright, so what we're going to do is, first thing is we want to take our wide shot, which is Akari, and we want to add an effect. And the effect we're going to add is going to be an image adjustment, and we're going to adjust levels. There's 100 ways you could do this, by the way. This is just how I'm doing it. I'm going to take the overall RGB input or output, turn it down. Let's just turn it down about halfway. Okay, see, so that makes her nice and dark. And then let's take the blue output and just push it up to about 50. So it gives it a little bit of a blue cast. I actually think that's a little aggressive. Let's go to 40. Okay, so that's fine. I would have to say no problem. So since that worked, why don't we just, as usual, save early, save often. So let's just duplicate that on the background, alright? So let's go Control C, Control V. Where did it go? Why didn't that work? Let's try it again. Control C. Let's click away and then hit Control V. Yeah, okay, there we go. So now we've got this effect that's kind of floating around. And what we want to do is we want to find the defocused background, and we want to pipe that through that color corrector, and then delete this node. And now what should happen is the defocused background should have a similar color correction. The problem is I'd have to look into it. I don't know if there's some sort of combination node where I could take both of these levels and pipe them both through the same, like combine them into one and then pipe them through this color correction effect. So the way I'm doing it, I'm basically doing it the hard way by making 2 instances of the color correction. So what's kind of interesting here is that when I turn this off, oh, I see what's going on. I see what's going on, folks. We need to like completely kill this level right here because it's not helping. It was the old non-defocused version was distracting me, so I couldn't see the new defocused one that I just color corrected. So the good news is it appears everything is working. Here's a nice little trick you might not know. You can, okay, so now this is interesting. This says link. Does this do what I hope it does? Let's find out. What does this do? I really wonder what this does. It makes me wonder if I click link, does it maybe let me? No, it doesn't do that. Anybody out there know what link does? If you know what link does on these compositing nodes, let me know. Post something, because I got a feeling that's that's useful. Sometime, somewhere, that's going to actually be useful. Okay, so let's kill the schematic. I love the schematic view in OpenTunes. I love what you can do with it. Okay, so, well, I mean, as long as we're here, though, doesn't it also kind of sort of stand to reason that everything should have a, like a blue cast, be darkened, yada, yada, yada? What we really need is a way, and I'm sure we can do this through the schematic view, actually, if we're smart about it. What we really need is a way to pipe all of these levels through a single color correction node. Now, to be fair, it's possible, and you could argue even likely, that if you did that, you're probably going to, and by the way, I'm deleting the background image that we're not using anymore. Save early, save often. Okay, there's another way to do it. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a vector level. So I'm going to go File, New Level, Alt-N. I'm going to make it a Tunes vector level. Okay? And then let's slide this keyframe back up to the top where it belongs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box. Okay? So I'm going to use the rectangle. Draw a rectangle. Okay. Turn off this preview. And now I'm going to fill the rectangle. So fill it. Boom. Oh, come on. Why aren't you filling? Oh, because I'm in freehand mode, so I gotta lasso it. Okay. Now all I got to do is change this color to something a little more like what I'm talking about. And by the way, to be perfectly honest here, I'm not actually sure this is going to work, but I think it is. Okay, so now that I've done that, and it's probably going to require me to take the effects off of Akari again, but what I'm going to do is go back to the schematic view, and now what if, and we'll call this, let's just call this overlay. Okay, so now there's the overlay. Let's just see, let's do layer blending, and let's try, I don't like that one, overlay is what I want. So now when I turn on preview, that did not work. I did not mean to do that either, by the way. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Who cares? Let's put the let's put the schematic right here. Okay, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, if I can get it right here. Okay. And delete that window. Okay. Close enough for rock and roll. Because I'm using the schematic so much, I might as well have it. Hey, Jerry Mangan. How you doing, man? Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out here is how we can... oh, I see. Foreground and background. Gosh, it almost seems like we'd need some pegs or something to make this work. So I'm going to say that's a non-starter. That's not going to be how we do it. I'm going to do an image adjust. What does exposure do? Nope, that's worthless. We'll get there. I know I can pretty much come close to what I'm trying to do with a image adjustment, just adjust levels. Because what I want to do is, I want to turn the alpha output down, I believe. Yeah. See, there you go. Look at that. Turn the alpha down, and it's already colored blue, so I don't really need to do anything else with it. Okay, so that means that arguably we could actually delete it from those two frames. And now we could always darken everything too by just reducing the RGB output. Oh, that doesn't work. Yeah, the way that the way that OpenTunes deals with the alpha channel, it might be because of the I'm doing layer blending INO. I literally don't know what INO means. Okay, so what the heck? Let's see what happens if we let's kill this effect. All right, and then let's insert layer blending, and I don't know, color burn. Let's try it. I have no idea. Yeah, that doesn't work. But what that shows me is that is actually what I'm sort of what I'm trying to do. What's bugging me is I want overlay mode. Overlay, if you're familiar with Photoshop, that would be similar to soft light. It's not exactly the same, but it essentially does a burn or a dodge depending on a cutoff point. And I think there's something about these INO effects that make them behave a little differently in terms of the alpha channel and stuff. So I'm gonna say I already tried. Did I try color burn? I think that's what I tried. Color dodge, yeah, that lightens everything. And there's not really a way to like turn down the effect. If there was, I'd probably use multiply. I'll try one more thing, and then if it doesn't work, we'll kind of move on. So let's do multiply mode. Yeah, I mean, multiply mode, it's cool, but the only way it really works, I don't know if I turn the transparency of the level down here, I don't know if it works in preview mode. In other words, if it's going to render that way. So like here, I can make it transparent in the preview, but the actual render, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to do anything. So it's not helpful. So with that, I will say let's kill the multiply effect, turn the image adjustment back on, and why does it appear to be doing nothing now? That's kind of interesting. Oh, because of this. Wait, I turned it back up though. See, this is where OpenTunes is a little confusing, right? So obviously the layer is working. You can turn it off and turn it on, and okay, so we'll just sort of reduce the number of variables here by getting rid of that effect, and we're doing a level adjustment, and the main thing we were after is to just turn down the alpha for the level. Oh, there it is. Now what I'm noticing is OpenTunes appears to have some hokiness in its like the buffers. Like it'll show you a preview, and then when you jump to another level or something, it will, at least the first time you look at it, it will show you the buffered image from previous. So anyway, for now, to make it actually usable in preview mode, I'm going to turn this down and then just kind of ease it up. Yeah, that's cool. And then let's lock it to the camera view, and it looks like we could do a quick preview, see what's looking like. So there's Akari sleeping, camera pans up, our ninja dudes come into frame. That's really about all there is to it, and then it cuts to the next scene. So hit the loop key. As you can see, our ninja guys, when we turn our effects on, you can see they've got like shadows because those duplicate layers are just darkened and then blurred. So I'm going to jump up out of this sub X sheet, and again, we're kind of learning as we go here. So our first shot, see that? For a moment there it showed me the buffer from previous, so that's kind of a bug, hardly something to complain too much about, but okay, so it goes from this shot, whoopsie poo, got a pan over here, then it goes to this shot, cuts to the white. Say, where does it go from here? Well, the next thing that happens is our ninja guys Ninja 1. Hey Ninja 2, what's going on? You look like you're struggling down there. Need to put a loop in there so that his tassels are blown in the wind. Ninja, which I have here. Ninja 2 sort of tries to climb up, but his foot slips on the wall. A piece of rock breaks away and falls to the ground, and we'll see it kind of go like some smoke down there. It's not really smoke, obviously. It's more like dust and debris, and that disturbs Akari. What's going on? Then she rolls over and kind of goes back to sleep. Then this guy knows he's in trouble. Ninja number 1 is like, come on dude, let's get going. They're starting to climb up the wall, and then we realize that Akari knows perfectly well that they are there. So that's kind of the story going on, and that's just the beginning sequence of the entire anime episode, which isn't completely written, but it's pretty well plotted out, so we know roughly what's going to happen. So as we're putting this sequence together, it's been a real experience of learning how to get along with both Blender and OpenToonz, because all this animation and the ink lines were all done in the Blender grease pencil. So now that we're going to this guy, we need to do some painting. So let's do some painting. Hit the fill tool, and we need our palette. There's the palette. The ninja colors are down here. There's the ninja flesh. So let's just go ahead and we're in freehand mode, so it should work. Yep, there we go. So let's just do some painting. Color that. This needs to be lassoed like so. Alright. Not sure what we're gonna do with this guy's hair. I guess this is a color here that is. Well, actually, let's do this. We'll hit the K key and sample that and see where it goes. Alright, let's try that again. K key. Oh. So what I'm seeing here is that this color on of this particular sequence of images, the color of his ponytail was actually baked in when it was rendered out of Blender. So that's no big deal. What we'll do is go down here to where the ninja colors are. Let's grab this, and before we go too far, let's jump up here. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take the risk here and change this color. So that's the Ninja 2 hair. That was the last one I used. So let's call this Ninja 1 hair. Okay, and let's fill it in right here. So obviously that's the wrong color, but what we're going to do is hit the R key and just sample that. So now they're the same color. The only problem we have is, excuse me, is you can see that line right there. I'm pretty sure we can erase that. Let's hit the erase tool, but put it in lines mode. So we're only erasing lines and not color. Nah, it doesn't seem to want to work. Let's hit areas. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just remove that seam so that we can. Now it's still putting that little bit of a blur in there, a little bit of a border. Okay, well, lesson learned. If you're gonna export colors from Blender, you should use the other RGB color picker. Well, when I want to, if I want to find a color on the palette, I hit the K key, and then if I select that color, then it'll go to that palette entry. If I want to do what I just did, which is match a color, then I'm gonna use the R key and to sample. So if I were to sample this color, then obviously his hair would turn back to the same color as the flesh tone. So is there, am I missing something? I'm not sure what you mean. The only, as far as color pickers go, the only, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. As far as color pickers go, the only functionality I personally am aware of is to either sample a color or sample a color, you know, so that it selects that color from the palette. So there's basically two things you can do. Oh, I see. I put it in rectangular mode. I need to be in normal mode as well. But in this little area here, we do need to let the flesh tone sneak through. So now the question becomes, are these going to be wraps the same color as these other wraps? And for the moment, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, yep, that's cool. So yeah, this is just coloring mode. Now, you could use frame range to color multiple frames in a sequence all at once. But, I mean, honestly, there's only like 4 keyframes, so there's not really a great compelling reason to use that. And this needs to be black. Boom. Let's see. Then there's these little tiny spots, you know, you gotta fix. Unless you want it to look stupid. Okay, that's cool. Boom. Yeah, so this is gonna be a bit of a job. You know what? I take back what I said. I'm gonna use frame range. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Frame range, I'm gonna click there. Click there. Now it fills everything in between, which is super cool. Actually, that's gonna, let's hit escape. That's gonna, yeah, I'm gonna regret that, because obviously that's an open shape, which is gonna cause me some regret, right? Okay, so I wonder if the range works with the freehand mode. Let's find out. There and there. Not bad, I guess. Not quite what I had in mind. Hello. Okay. So I'm going to go to normal, take off frame range, and surgically tweak. Okay. So, I mean, there are only 4 keyframes, so it's not like it's, not like it's a big deal. One thing I have noticed is if you actually drag in normal mode, you can fill in multiple areas like so, which is kind of cool. Alright, so the problem we have here, and it's kind of a major problem actually, is I gotta grab the brush and nope, that's not gonna fly. So pressure's on, so I'm gonna say that's probably a glitch on OpenTune's part. Nope, don't seem to want to. Let's take pressure off and just do a couple pixel wide line. So it looks like maybe 4 would be okay. Again, it's not perfect. Okay, so cool. And let's do the fill tool. Freehand mode. Boop doop doop doop. And next keyframe is going through and filling things, fixing things. Oh, we've got a major problem, I just realized. He is not supposed to have hair. I got to go through and redraw these frames to get rid of his hair. So I think with that, guys, I'm going to pause for now and go do a few other things and then come back. I may be live streaming again later, but for now I think I'm going to take a little break. How long has it been? It's been almost an hour. So anyway, have a good one, and maybe I'll be back later tonight.